Good day, folks. Thank you for joining us here at Your Health. I hope you're having a beautiful, warm, and loving Christmas season this year. It's one of my favorite times of year. It is my favorite time of the year. You know me better than that. It is my favorite time of the year. I love this time of year. On today's program, we want to talk about Boswellia. You know Boswellia as biblical frankincense, the gift of the Magi. This is a wonderful topic. Boswellia can help you with your pain, and we want to talk about that because it is a foundational herb that we should all understand. It's not hard to understand how it works and understand how to apply it to our lives to improve the quality and lessen our pain. Very important subject today. First, let's go to our news. Let's see what's happening in the health world. Adult onset diabetes may begin more than 20 years before diagnosis. Researchers from Ozawa Hospital in Japan followed over 27,000 subjects for 10 years. All the test subjects started the study diabetes-free. They found the subjects that developed diabetes showed signs of the disease 10 years and possibly even 20 years prior to their formal diagnosis. They found elevated but still normal fasting blood glucose levels, elevated body mass index or weight gain, and increasing insulin resistance accurately predicted even years before who would go on to develop adult onset diabetes. There are currently almost 30 million Americans with diabetes. The study was published by Diabetologia. Related research reported in the British Medical Journal finds intermittent fasting may help reverse adult onset diabetes. Researchers followed 3 adult onset diabetics. All 3 took multiple medications, including daily insulin injections. They also had elevated blood pressure and cholesterol levels. The subjects changed their diets, and they fasted on alternate days. All of the subjects were able to stop insulin injections, and 2 of the subjects were able to stop all diabetic medications, while the 3rd was able to stop 3 of 4 meds. Well, folks, this is a fascinating line of research. First, from Japan, we learned there are signs of impending adult onset diabetes years or even decades before the disease is formally diagnosed by traditional means. This large study found if your fasting blood glucose is over 100, it may be an early sign, even 10 or more years before that you may become a diabetic. They also found carrying extra weight and having insulin resistance are early signs of future diabetes. Now, insulin resistance is when your body does not respond properly to insulin and blood sugars stay up. See? The signs of insulin resistance include increased cholesterol, triglycerides, and blood pressure, along with elevated blood glucose levels, but not necessarily so high that you're called a diabetic. Now, all of these signs may be present years before your doctor may be able to officially diagnose you with diabetes. Now, our second study finds that lifestyle interventions are often enough to completely reverse adult onset diabetes. This small but relevant study found when overweight type 2 diabetics incorporated fasting into their lifestyle, it essentially reversed or even cured their diabetes. And I urge everyone watching today to have your blood glucose and lipids checked. If they're even slightly elevated, you know the classic high normal results? Take steps now to reverse the trend towards diabetes. Eating less and exercising more is only challenging at the start. With time, it becomes much easier than dealing with diabetes and all of its expense and painful complications. Adhering to an anti-inflammatory diet reduces the risk of death. Researchers from the Warsaw University of Life Sciences followed over 68,000 subjects for 16 years. They found those who consumed a diet that did not promote inflammation were at a reduced risk of death from all causes, including cardiovascular disease and cancer. The study was published by the Journal of Internal Medicine. Related research from the University of Illinois reported in Frontiers in Immunology finds, with age, our brains naturally become more and more inflamed, leaving us prone to dementia. But consuming a high-fiber diet helps to counteract brain inflammation, reducing the risk of Alzheimer's disease. And finally, from the American Society for Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, researchers reviewed 55 studies to determine vegetable oils derived from seeds are the most effective way in lowering cholesterol and other blood lipids. Of all the seed oils tested, sunflower seed oil lowered cholesterol levels the most. Well, I think everyone knows to pay attention to their cholesterol levels, but very few know that total body inflammation is an even more important cause of cancer, heart disease, dementia, and more. Our first study finds following an anti-inflammatory diet reduces the risk of death from any cause by about 20%. Well, what is an anti-inflammatory diet? It is a diet rich in plant foods and with less animal products. We're talking about the Mediterranean diet, complete with fruits and vegetables, whole grains, olive oil, olives, nuts, and seeds, along with lean meats, fowl and fish, and fermented dairy. The Mediterranean diet features infrequent and modest servings of processed foods and red meats, sugar, and prepackaged chemical-laden foods. These undesirable foods promote inflammation that turns innocent cholesterol into deadly plaques while promoting cancer and dementia. Lower the inflammation, and cholesterol remains our friend, not the instigator of misery that we know it to be. Our second study finds a high-fiber diet, such as the Mediterranean diet, also helps to calm inflammation that preserves brain function well into our senior years. And finally, our third study finds oils from seeds, such as sunflower, safflower, and flaxseed oils, are among the best at helping to keep our bloods, fats, and lipids at normal levels. The science is complicated, but living healthy is simple. Eat fresh, wholesome foods, get a little exercise, live a long, healthy life. Today on Your Health, we'd like to discuss boswellia, also known as frankincense. Stay tuned to learn more.
Hello, I'm Cindy Becker.
And I'm Dr. Richard Becker. Are you thinking about your health as we approach a new year? Well, many of us do, even though our health is important every day of the year.
If you have a wellness plan in mind, December's a month with special holiday prices. Plus, shipping within the continental U.S. is free for all orders over $50.
We'd like to thank you for your continued support. It's because of you that we are able to provide this great educational service.
So call us today to restock your supplements for the coming year and tell a friend about the savings. Or order online at bioinnovations.net for the best prices of the season.
We hope the new year brings you happiness and better health for your entire family. Merry Christmas.
And a happy, healthy new year.
I'm Dr. Richard Becker, and this is Your Health at a Glance. Our health depends on the choices we make every day, and few conditions are as dependent on our choices as diabetes. So here is your daily diabetic checklist. Number 1, take your diet seriously every day. Eat lean protein and leafy vegetables. Number 2, sugars and starches raise blood glucose, so reduce them in your diet. Number 3, check your blood glucose and record the readings every day. Number 4, take your medication daily and don't skip. And number 5, try to exercise every day. It will help you take off weight, which will help your body regulate blood sugar better. If you are diabetic, this is your quick daily checklist that could make life better. For Your Health at a Glance, I'm Dr. Richard Becker. For centuries, the herb astragalus has been a staple of traditional Chinese medicine. It's used to create a strong shield, protecting the immune system.
Astragalus is also used to support healthy heart and lung function.
There's even more. Astragalus helps to calm total body inflammation, a common cause of pain and chronic illness.
All of that without the use of medication.
That's right. Support your health the way nature intended with astragalus root.
BioInnovations brings you Dr. Becker's Bionutrients Astragalus Root Extract. BioInnovations is the affordable source that you can trust for all your vitamin and supplement needs. Give us a call at 888-442-1828 or order online at bioinnovations.net and see what astragalus can do for your health. That number once again is 888-442-1828. Call today.
Welcome back and Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you are having a wonderful time celebrating the birth of Christ wherever you are with loved ones, hopefully. And if you are alone this Christmas, you're here with us. So it is such a blessing that we are in your home today. Let's sit back and learn together. Today we get to learn about one of the most amazing gifts of nature. That is frankincense boswellia. This one is so amazing, and we all learned about this growing up, didn't we, as one of the gifts that was presented to the baby Jesus. Now we've learned the scientific information behind it about how it really does help our health. Richard,
Yes.
That's Boswellia serrata.
Boswellia serrata. And we will refer to it as boswellia or frankincense. It's the same thing. It is a wonderful substance. It smells wonderful and it does good things for us. Boswellia is also known as Olibanum indicum. In Hebrew, it's referred to as lavona. We will call it boswellia. It's also known as a biblical frankincense, and this stuff goes way back, folks. It has an ancient history. The Greeks used it, the ancient Greeks, ancient Romans, Egyptians, and of course the children of Israel is very much a part of their religious processes and their medicinal agents as well. Boswellia or frankincense was mentioned in Leviticus, Exodus, Isaiah, Malachi, and Psalms, along with the New Testament, Matthew, Luke, and Revelation. In the Old Testament references, it was used as offerings and in a ceremony to represent prayers as they ascend to heaven. As the smoke goes up, it represents our prayers to God. And the name of the Most Holy, because they could not speak the name of the Most Holy, so they would burn incense to invoke God. In the New Testament, frankincense was used to represent prayers and of the faithful, and of course it was mentioned in, let's see, where was that? It was Matthew, Luke, and Matthew and Luke. It was used as a gift to the Christ child by the Magi, the three wise men. The medicinal resin is taken from Boswellia serrata tree. Lines are cut in the tree bark during the spring season, and the resin flows out of the tree bark, kind of similar to how you would collect maple syrup. But the resin of the Boswellia tree is thick and heavy, more like a pine tree. It's thick and heavy. The resin is collected in bamboo baskets until the fall. There are some 25 known species of Boswellia trees. All have similar properties, but Boswellia serrata is the most prized. And there's another, Boswellia carteri, that's also highly prized, and we use that more in the essential oils. Correct, Cindy?
It's more of the incense version.
Of the incense version. Today we're talking about Boswellia serrata. That's the version that we're talking about, and it's used the most commonly as a medicinal agent. The Boswellia serrata trees are indigenous to North Africa and the Middle East and arid India. Due to great interest and increased use, orchards are being planted in a variety of locations suitable for growth. And I can just imagine the arid American Southwest would be a great place to plant Boswellia trees. It takes about 10 years before they are productive, but the demand for this stuff is increasing dramatically worldwide. Something to think about. Something to think about. The chemical constitution of the Boswellia serrata tree, what causes it to be such an effective medicinal agent? They're primarily terpenes. Terpenes, monoterpenes, diterpenes, triterpenes, pentacyclic, triterpenic acids, tetracyclic. That's a lot of scientific jargon, and let me help you understand. Imagine like links in a chain, 4 or 5 links in a chain, and these are repeating units, one after the other after the other. And these terpene links can fold back on each other, and they create honeycomb-like pattern molecules. And that honeycomb pattern very much resembles our hormone-structured molecules. Cholesterol, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, all of these types of hormones. Now, Boswellia does not contain true hormones. They're molecules that mimic hormone actions. And why is that important? Because those types of molecules affect our cells. They affect it in a way that benefits us, and now it makes sense. So these terpene units are primarily the active ingredients in Boswellia serrata. We often use and refer to boswellic acids to standardize the quality Boswellia products. Boswellic acids are pentacyclic triterpenic acids, the honeycomb folded over type molecular structures, and they're used to standardize the medicinal agent. A good quality product has about a 65 to 70% standardized boswellic acids. You want to look for standardization. That means they're checking for quality. It's a mark of good quality. Now, one of the most ancient herbs of India, this wasn't just used in the Middle East, in the Holy Land, it was also used in the East, in India, in arid India. And that use goes back to at least 700 BC. It's a very important part of Ayurvedic medicine. And 1500 BC in the Holy Land. So this is truly one of our most ancient remedies. Putative use, use by reputation, historical use for Boswellia, inflammation, number one, far and away, inflammation, such as for arthritis, joint and muscle pain, an inflamed intestinal tract, such as occurs with dysentery or diarrhea, skin infections, boils, fever, blood vessel inflammation, cardiovascular disease, mouth sores, asthma, bronchitis. All of those things are historical uses of Boswellia. Now, if we shift a little bit to the essential oil, Boswellia serrata, it has a wide application of use too. Pain, inflammation, arthritis, stress and anxiety. This is one of the remarkable things about the essential oil. This is a little sidetrack, but it's appropriate here. How Boswellia, when used as the essential oil, just a drop on the palm or on the wrist, rub a little in, and things just calm down. They just calm. It's amazing to see. You can put a little in the room of a crowd of people who may be a little anxious and stressed about something. Put it in your diffuser, put a few drops in there and let it go. And you almost instantly see people just calm down. And all of a sudden they're getting along. It is remarkable to see. So I'll try that sometime. And you'll see what I have observed. Now, modern scientific investigation reveals Boswellia calms inflammation by a wide variety of mechanisms. I do not want to rush through this because this is the essence of the science behind Boswellia. So let's go to our break a little early. We'll come back and cover how Boswellia works scientifically. We'll be right back.
I'm Cindy Becker.
And I'm Dr. Richard Becker. Are you thinking about your health as we approach a new year? Well, many of us do, even though our health is important every day of the year.
If you have a wellness plan in mind, December's a month with special holiday prices. Plus, shipping within the continental U.S. is free for all orders over $50.
We'd like to thank you for your continued support. It's because of you that we are able to provide this great educational service.
So call us today to restock your supplements for the coming year and tell a friend about the savings. Or order online at bioinnovations.net for the best prices of the season.
We hope the new year brings you happiness and better health for your entire family. Merry Christmas.
And a happy, healthy new year.
I'm Dr. Becker, and this is Your Health at a Glance. Are you one of the millions of Americans who are at risk for heart problems? If your diet is like the average American's, you're getting far more sodium than your body needs, and this may create serious problems for your heart. A new study from the Netherlands showed that a diet high in salt not only increases blood pressure to dangerous levels, it also causes damage to your blood vessels. To avoid these problems, you need to avoid foods that are high in salt, such as preserved and prepared foods like frozen dinners, canned soups and other canned foods, cured meats such as lunch meat, hot dogs, bacon and sausage, condiments and sauces such as soy sauce, teriyaki sauce, and spaghetti sauce, and snack foods such as salted nuts, pretzels, and chips. Eat fresh fruits and vegetables, fresh meats, poultry, fish, and other salt-free alternatives. As you decrease your intake of salt, your desire for salty foods will eventually be reduced. For Your Health at a Glance, I'm Dr. Becker. Every day, about 200 million Americans do not get enough of a key essential mineral.
That mineral is magnesium. The typical American diet does not supply enough.
And magnesium is so important. It protects bones and helps more than 300 different enzymes in the human body perform efficiently.
That's why BioInnovations offers chelated magnesium capsules for oral use and topical magnesium gel to be applied to the skin. That's 2 forms of magnesium to meet your daily needs.
Scientific evidence points to chelation as the best method of vitamin and mineral formulation.
So call 888-442-1828 or go online at bioinnovations.net to place your order. Ask about the AutoShip program for additional savings.
Because chances are you are one of the 200 million Americans who need more magnesium every day.
We're back, everyone, talking about the amazing gift of nature, Boswellia serrata. So, Richard, now we're going to talk about the scientific basis behind this. Now, this is interesting that there was a reason this was given to the Christ child.
Oh, absolutely.
And it sure took man a long time to figure out the reason behind that, didn't it?
Yeah, but that's okay because Boswellia has been with us all along and we've been able to use it. Now, as we go through the mechanisms of how Boswellia calms our pain and inflammation, understand that this is the most technical information we'll have in this program. But if you stay with me, I'll help you to understand it, and you'll understand the power of Boswellia when we're through. So stick with me. First, Boswellia inhibits the classic complement cascade. What this is part of our innate immune system that we're born with. And what it does, what the complement cascade does, is it amplifies a response. So let's say I have a germ that gets on my skin, or there's trauma to me, and it's a small location. But we want to sound the alarm to activate the immune system. You follow me? We want to get ahead of the problem before it becomes a huge infection or a huge trauma. So complement activates everything. It's indiscriminate. It sends a signal all over. And that's good when we have a real health crisis, but in chronic arthritis, chronic painful conditions, complement can be activated, which activates the immune system and amplifies your pain unnecessarily. You follow me? Frankincense calms that process down. It doesn't shut it off. It's still able to react when you need it to react for a major crisis, but it calms it down gently. Next, it decreases the production of prostaglandins. If I break my ankle, the torn and sheared and damaged cells release prostaglandins. That results in pain, inflammation, swelling. You don't like that. That hurts. Well, this also happens with arthritis, chronic fatigue, and fibromyalgia, headaches, all sorts of things that are not broken bones. We take ibuprofen and aspirin to calm prostaglandin production, but those drugs work so strong that we have side effects. Boswellia calms the production of prostaglandins, but it does it gently without side effects. Next, it decreases 5-lipoxygenase. What this substance does, it converts molecules, essential fatty acids or fatty acids in cell membranes into leukotrienes, and they go on to cause swelling, pain, inflammation, wheezing, congestion in the lungs and other places. So we're calming when a cell is disrupted from trauma or from arthritis or anything painful, we're calming that reaction. Next, it decreases 5-hydroxy-eicosaptenoic acid. Now, what is that stuff? That's a big word, but don't be fooled by this. It's not that complicated. It has autocrine action to activate the immunity and inflammation. An autocrine hormone is a molecule released by the cell to influence that cell's physiology. A paracrine hormone influences the neighbor cell, and an endocrine hormone influences the cell very far away. That's the difference. So this is within the cell, and when this hydroxy-eicosaptenoic acid is released from trauma, inflammation, whatever caused your painful condition, it activates the innate immunity and it amplifies the response. We want to calm it down, but we want to do it gently. There's more. Stay with me. It also decreases leukotriene B4. Now, what does this stuff do? What it does, when it's released from trauma or infections, it draws white blood cells from the circulatory system, from your blood, into tissues to amplify the immune response and your pain. We're calming that down with Boswellia. Next, it reduces cytokines. Cytokines are cell signaling molecules that turn on the immune system that can cause inflammation, pain, and swelling, or cytokines can calm it down. In physiology, there's always the pull and the push. You know, one thing does one and the other counters it. Well, we want to turn on the calming enzymes and suppress the inflammatory ones. Guess what? Boswellia does that through cytokines. Keep going here. It reduces cathepsin G and leukocyte elastase. These are enzymes that break down pathogens. So when our white blood cells engulf a bacteria, let's say, or a virus, or a fungi, it has enzymes in it that destroys the pathogen. Well, sometimes our immune system sets loose those enzymes that destroys pathogens on your normal tissues. And it's also necessary because if bacteria have destroyed tissues in your lung, let's say from pneumonia, we need to clean that debris up or it's food for more pathogens. So God designed us in a way that we have enzymes to get rid of that old dead tissue and then replace it with new healthy tissue. But in degenerative arthritis and deforming arthritis, this same process will destroy joints. Also, in asthma and chronic bronchitis, this enzyme destroys the lung tissue while it's trying to kill the pathogens. Guess what? Boswellia calms that down, so we're not destroying our normal tissue quite so much. But it can still amp up and be used beneficially when we need it. Does that make sense? Because this is the essence of how these remarkable things help us. There's more. Stay with me. It also, Boswellia reduces the production of free radicals. We've studied about that and how these free radicals change the nature of our DNA and our normal tissues into something that's foreign and odd, and that's painful. That's not a good thing. It reduces lysosomal enzymes. This is part of the process of destroying tissues when they shouldn't be destroyed. So all of these mechanisms become exaggerated and inflamed in painful conditions. And I don't really care what kind of painful condition you're talking about. If it's causing you pain, this is involved. And frankincense, Boswellia, calms all of these in a very gentle way. Drugs, pharmaceutical agents, take one of these enzymes and greatly suppress it to the point where it causes side effects. But Boswellia does it gently. Each one a little suppressed, So with time, as we're taking this wonderful herb, we get pain relief with no side effects. That's the essence of natural therapies. That's how nature does it. And I find that amazing. Now, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen, naproxen, aspirin, there are dozens of them available. They are the most commonly used medicines in the world. Why? Because humans hurt. We're hurting. I believe we have more pain than ever in this world, even with advanced modern ways. We have more pain than ever. These drugs are the most commonly used drugs in the world, and they are responsible for the most side effects that we see from medicines. They put more people into the hospital than any other medicines. Let's switch away from that. Let's go to these natural agents that don't have these side effects. They work better. If you know how to use them properly, they work better, and Boswellia is one of the best. Does that make sense to you? It does to me. I love it. Now, when these things happen, when we study them in a laboratory, Boswellia inhibits human leukocyte elastase. It's known to generate emphysema because it breaks down tissues. And the small little bubbles of alveoli, the lung tissue that exchange gas, in emphysema, they become very large. It's much like a bubble bath bubbles. With time, they coalesce into a big bubble. Well, the big bubble has less surface area than thousands of small bubbles. This is essentially what happens with emphysema and with chronic bronchitis, bronchiectasis, and it happens to some degree in asthma. This is why Boswellia works so well in these lung conditions. It calms that process down to help preserve normal lung tissue. And I find that just amazing. In animal study, Boswellia has major anti-inflammatory actions with little to no side effects, even so much so that it remarkably reduces the generation of colon tumors in animals that are given agents designed to create colon tumors so they can be studied. You give these animals Boswellia with that agent, it's a remarkable reduction in the inflammation that leads to the generation of even cancer. This is the essence of what we're missing in modern medicine today. It's inflammation. It's not cholesterol that's making us sick. It's this inflammation, and Boswellia has wide application for any cause of inflammation, which translates into less pain for you. We have more on Boswellia. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Cindy Becker.
And I'm Dr. Richard Becker. Are you thinking about your health as we approach a new year? Well, many of us do, even though our health is important every day of the year.
If you have a wellness plan in mind, December's a month with special holiday prices. Plus, shipping within the continental U.S. is free for all orders over $50.
We'd like to thank you for your continued support. It's because of you that we are able to provide this great educational service.
So call us today to restock your supplements for the coming year and tell a friend about the savings, or order online at bioinnovations.net for the best prices of the season.
We hope the new year brings you happiness and better health for your entire family. Merry Christmas.
And a happy, healthy new year.
I'm Dr. Richard Becker for Your Health at a Glance. Does acid reflux keep you hooked on antacids? If so, you may be suffering from GERD, which stands for gastroesophageal reflux disease. GERD affects at least 20% of the adult population. In fact, Americans spend hundreds of millions of dollars per year on medicines to treat GERD. This is unfortunate because these medications have side effects. They can cause additional digestive problems, and they lead to nutrient deficiencies, such as the depletion of vitamin B12. Fortunately, there are simple lifestyle changes that can reduce the symptoms of GERD. Avoid lying down or exercising within 2 hours of eating. Lose weight because obesity worsens symptoms. Limit foods that cause GERD, such as fried, fatty foods, mints, chocolate, and caffeine. To improve digestion, eat a diet rich in fiber, yogurt, and drink lots of water. For Your Health at a Glance, I'm Dr. Richard Becker. Have you heard of Cordyceps sinensis, the medicinal mushroom that supports metabolic processes for stimulant-free energy? This remarkable mushroom also supports the immune and respiratory systems, as well as the heart and lungs.
BioInnovations brings you Dr. Becker's Bionutrients, Cordyceps sinensis.
Medicinal mushrooms contain beta-glucans, compounds that promote healthy immune function while helping to coordinate multiple body systems. And Cordyceps sinensis is among the safest and most powerful medicinal mushrooms available today, making it your choice for stimulant-free natural energy.
BioInnovations is the affordable source that you can trust for all your vitamin and supplement needs. Give us a call at 888-442-1828. That's 888-442-1828. Or order online at bioinnovations.net. Be sure to ask about the AutoShip program for additional savings.
Well, back everyone. Before we continue, I want to let you know it is holiday savings time at BioInnovations, and what a celebration we are having. The best prices of the season. This includes the oils and the Boswellia serrata we're talking about today, as well as free shipping on your orders over $50. Of course, that's the mainland USA, but what a time to get what you need to stay healthy for this time of year especially, right? So, Richard, we're talking about the science behind Boswellia, and there's a lot of really, really informative studies here.
Yes, there are, and if we review the studies, a quick review of that would show Boswellia is useful for topical pain relief, internal pain relief, arthritis, gout, spine pain, degenerative disc disease, degenerative spine disease, fibromyalgia, asthma, trauma, post-surgery recovery. It's excellent for that. Inflammatory bowel disease, asthma, emphysema, bronchiectasis, and a variety of infectious diseases. So if we study with double-blind, placebo-controlled trials, osteoarthritis, you can find over 30 different trials involving thousands of patients studying the effect of Boswellia on arthritis. What does it do? One, it reduces the pain, it reduces the swelling, improves joint motion, it improves walking distance, the frequency of flare-ups are reduced, along with improvements of global assessment of knee osteoarthritis. Significant pain relief in 5 to 7 days. Now, this is an important point. If you need pain relief within 20 minutes, you better take a drug. That makes sense, and you can use naturals with most medicines. That's not a problem usually. There are details that you need to know about, but Boswellia, we know of no drug interactions. But if you're in chronic pain and you know it's going to be here in a week, start your Boswellia now, because it takes a little time for this agent to provide maximum benefit. You will get some benefit within an hour or two. You will notice some, but give it a little time, 4, 5, 6 days, and you go, you know, I'm doing better. I'm not thinking about my pain so much. I'm having better days. Give it a little time. That's the point. Reported side effects are really quite rare. Mild intestinal upset with large doses, and most of us do not need really large doses. We'll talk more about dosage in a minute. Provided relief is equal or better to Celebrex, which is one of the most commonly used anti-inflammatories worldwide, Celebrex, or glucosamine. The mechanism of action has been explained, and now you're almost an expert in that. You understand that. Combining with curcumin improves the outcomes, providing relief better than Celebrex. Did you get curcumin? That brilliant, beautiful orange spice from the plant turmeric, combined with Boswellia, frankincense, there's a synergy there. And it works beautifully together for pain. I use it every day. It really does work. Keep it in mind. Hand stress arthritis, Minerva Gastroenterology Dietology. 12 subjects with hand stress arthritis. Perhaps you're a checker at the grocery store, or you're a mechanic, or you work on assembly line, and all day long the hands are working. Many, many people do this. And your hands hurt at the end of the day. You know what? Boswellia would help you. Add a little curcumin to it, and it makes it even better. Rheumatoid arthritis. Multiple studies now, human and multiple animal studies, show improvements. Rheumatoid arthritis, this is disfiguring, disabling arthritis. It's bad news. Improvements in pain, swelling, and joint function, along with reduced erythrocyte sedimentation rate, which is a blood test and a general assessment of total body inflammation. It reduces that inflammation down, and reduce use of medicines. I don't need those pain pills as often because I'm on Boswellia. That is a good thing, folks. A good thing. With no significant side effects in this study. One study on rheumatoid involved over 260 rheumatoid arthritis patients. So this is a good, solid study with good, positive results. Inflammatory bowel disease, I'm talking about Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, and variants of those diseases. At least 8 double-blind placebo-controlled trials. Ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, significant improvements in pain. Clinical remissions were more common if they took Boswellia. Bowel movement frequency was decreased. It was equal or superior to standard of care drugs used for inflammatory bowel disease. Fewer side effects, though. Very appropriate. Add curcumin to this. And you're going to, probiotics, a little vitamin D, you know, do the complementary things to get the best relief possible. But if you're inflamed, if you're in pain, think Boswellia. That's the message for today. How about post-operative pain? That can be severe sometimes. Musculoskeletal surgery, rotator cuff surgery. Shoulder surgeries are famous for pain and long recoveries. That's what they wanted to study. 122 rotator cuff surgery patients. Boswellia with the turmeric or curcumin provided better pain relief than the drugs they usually gave. I think that's amazing, and something everyone in America should know. Common agents, safe agents. Why are we so dependent on medicines when they don't work that well? I'm not anti-medicines. Please, believe me, I'm not. They're a vital part of any efficient clinic and hospital. But there's so much more. And some things only respond to the naturals. Really, that's just been my experience in life. Miscellaneous, various different things. Let's get a few of those. Boswellia is so effective against pain and inflammation and swelling. There are certain situations where brain tumors, this is a terrible condition, it causes swelling of the brain so much so that there can be delirium, hallucinations, extreme pain. It's just a bad thing to have. Well, not all the drugs don't always work to reduce that swelling. Well, this was a study. They looked at Boswellia's ability to reduce the edema, the swelling of the brain in these unique brain tumor cases. They found greater than 75% reduction of swelling of the brain in 60% of the 44 patients in this study. So it is an effective agent to reduce brain swelling, and it has orphan drug status by the European Medicine Agency for brain tumor-induced swelling. We'll be back with more.
Hello, I'm Cindy Becker.
And I'm Dr. Richard Becker. Are you thinking about your health as we approach a new year? Well, many of us do, even though our health is important every day of the year.
If you have a wellness plan in mind, December's a month with special holiday prices. Plus, shipping within the continental U.S. is free for all orders over $50.
We'd like to thank you for your continued support. It's because of you that we are able to provide this great educational service.
So call us today to restock your supplements for the coming year and tell a friend about the savings. Or order online at bioinnovations.net for the best prices of the season.
We hope the new year brings you happiness and better health for your entire family. Merry Christmas.
And a happy, healthy new year. Here is our hope for you today. I'm Cindy Becker. When we struggle with disease and painful health conditions, we can become overwhelmed with negative thoughts. We may even develop depression. The Apostle Paul offered guidelines to help us preserve a positive attitude during times of trouble. He wrote in Philippians 4, verse 8, "Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things." Thinking positive thoughts is the first step toward overcoming worry, even depression. Proverbs 17, verse 22 reminds us, "A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones." Remember these words of wisdom as you face your health challenges. I'm Cindy Becker. This is our hope for you today.
Vitamin D deficiency is at epidemic levels in the United States. Chances are you aren't getting enough of this essential nutrient. Vitamin D is one of the most important molecules in the human body. It's required for the proper function of nearly 4,000 genes and 1,000 metabolic chemical reactions.
BioInnovations brings you Dr. Becker's Bionutrients Vitamin D3. Now, supplementing with vitamin D is safe and affordable.
Studies show that vitamin D deficiency can lead to poor immune function, depression, cardiovascular disease, bone disease, diabetes, cancer, and much more. Starting supplementing vitamin D today for better health tomorrow.
BioInnovations is the affordable source that you can trust for all your vitamin and supplement needs. So give us a call at 888-442-1828 or order online at bioinnovations.net. Be sure to ask about the AutoShip program for additional savings. We're back, everyone. Just a reminder, we are having a fantastic holiday celebration at BioInnovations. Best prices of the season and free shipping on your orders over $50. Of course, that's in the USA mainland, but you've got to call in and get in on it. Great time to save. So, Richard, we're going through the studies on Boswellia.
Yes.
This is remarkable, just remarkable, especially the section where they're varied.
I mean, who would have thought it would have such a widespread application?
Exactly. That's the beauty of this stuff. It's universally applicable. You know, young people, teenagers and grade school kids, we have a hard time teaching them to brush their teeth on a daily basis, and they can get a little gingivitis or inflammation of the gums because of poor dental hygiene. I mean, it's common, it happens. So they wanted to find out if 75 teen girls, if we gave them a little Boswellia every day, would it help with their gingivitis, their inflammation? Because if this goes untreated, you lose teeth eventually because of it. It's not a good thing. And sure enough, it did. It helps with gingivitis. So you are seeing specialty toothpaste with frankincense or Boswellia in it today. And that's a sign of a quality product, let me tell you. That is good stuff if you have gingivitis. A little CoQ10 with that, vitamin C and zinc, you're going to get better. You're going to get better. Next, asthma. This is one of the star treatment protocols for asthma. It's Boswellia. 40 patients with asthma, 900 milligrams of Boswellia a day, 70% improvement of disease symptoms on average. Some got much better, some a little less, but 70% on average. That's amazing. Reduced physical symptoms, reduced wheezing, reduced dyspnea, difficulty, I can't get my breath, rhonchi, that's crackling in the chest, and number of asthma attacks. Reduce inflammation and eosinophil count, one of the white blood cells that drives asthma, along with improved pulmonary function testing. You know, you blow in the tube and they check the numbers. Well, those numbers improve with Boswellia and asthma. This is the classic signs of helping somebody with asthma. Now, if you're the asthma patient, take the Boswellia, but also take probiotics, black seed oil, oil of oregano, those two to help with yeast and fungi, because that drives asthma. You know it does. The yeast drives asthma. And if you are an asthmatic, you've probably been on many rounds of antibiotics. How could you not have a yeast problem? Also, take your vitamin D, because that reduces the attacks, fish oil, and the antioxidants such as curcumin. Now you've got a plan. Eat healthier, less sugar and starch. Your asthma is going to get better. I promise you. But you got to stay with it. You have to stay with it. Do your part. Next, randomized prospective trial of 32 subjects with asthma controlled with adrenergic inhaler with steroid inhaler. You know, you're taking the inhalers, both types, the steroid and the rescue type. If you add Boswellia to it, you're going to need less medicine. Your asthma is going to improve. So this helped us to show that you can use Boswellia with the common asthma medicines without a problem. That's good to know. Let's change gears to diabetes. 300 milligrams 3 times a day or 900 milligrams a day. For the diabetic, it increased the HDL cholesterol, remarkably decreased total cholesterol and LDL cholesterol. It reduced the byproducts of having a high blood glucose level that damages tissues. That's fructosamine. It helps prevent the complications of high glucose levels. And it improved the liver enzymes in the diabetic. Diabetics are inflamed. Boswellia can help the diabetic. That's what that showed. Patients with chronic kidney disease, they are really inflamed. Can't get rid of the toxins that our body creates in the normal physiology and metabolic processes. That leads to inflammation. And these patients with chronic kidney disease, Boswellia decreased their inflammatory markers considerably. Very good idea. Topical application to one side of the face. Boswellia is a beautiful anti-aging agent. What happens? Improvements in the Dover's Global Score for photoaging, tactile roughness. Oh, the skin's so smooth. How do you do that? Boswellia. Fine lines and wrinkles, increased elasticity, reduction of sebum excretion, and improvements of skin ultrasound testing, meaning the skin thickened, which is a good thing. You don't want thin skin, you want it thick. All of that happened from topical application. Who knew? It can be used in so many ways. Here's a study of cluster headache patients. They all improved to some degree. Cluster headaches are terrible. You don't want to know anything about them. Trust me. But Boswellia even helped cluster headaches. Athletic conditioning. 47 elite athletes combining a Mediterranean diet, eat healthy, with Boswellia and curcumin. There's that combination again. They improved their oxidative stress, inflammation and advanced glycation end products in master athletes. What does that mean for an athlete? It means they can train harder with fewer off days and fewer injuries. That means they're more competitive for the event. Pretty cool. I love that. I love that. That's the science for today. Isn't it amazing?
It is.
You know, they were wise men, weren't they? That gave the Christ child these gifts. They were very wise. I see now why they gave Boswellia to the Christ. Does that make sense to you now?
Sure does.
It does to me. Let's go to our break, folks. We'll be back in just a minute.
Hello, I'm Cindy Becker.
And I'm Dr. Richard Becker. Are you thinking about your health as we approach a new year? Well, many of us do, even though our health is important every day of the year.
If you have a wellness plan in mind, December's a month with special holiday prices. Plus, shipping within the continental U.S. is free for all orders over $50.
We'd like to thank you for your continued support. It's because of you that we are able to provide this great educational service.
So call us today to restock your supplements for the coming year and tell a friend about the savings. Or order online at bioinnovations.net for the best prices of the season.
We hope the new year brings you happiness and better health for your entire family. Merry Christmas.
And a happy, healthy new year.
I'm Dr. Richard Becker for Your Health at a Glance. Are you looking for a way to lower your risk of Alzheimer's? As the prevalence of obesity and metabolic syndrome continue to increase, researchers have found a possible link between type 2 diabetes and the onset of Alzheimer's disease. In fact, type 2 diabetics are at 200% higher risk of Alzheimer's compared to people without diabetes. These metabolic changes that develop with diabetes appears to greatly increase the speed of deterioration of the brain and other related systems. Lowering your blood glucose is easier than you may think. Eat smaller meals, exercise regularly, and reduce carbohydrates in your diet, especially simple sugars. Taking steps today to control your blood glucose may protect your entire body, including your brain. For Your Health at a Glance, I'm Dr. Richard Becker. Can you lower your risk of disease? The answer is yes. One way is by including fruit in your diet. Fruit contains valuable nutrients that can reduce the risk of heart disease, stroke, and even some cancers.
We've searched the world and found 4 fruits we believe are among the best. Noni from Polynesia, acai from the Amazon, and 2 new ones, goji and mangosteen.
These 4 juices each have amazing properties that make them great additions to your nutritional plan. If you're a diabetic or have chronic pain, these juices will help you feel better and have more energy. Plus, they help with digestion.
Now you can experience the health-promoting benefits of all 4 in one convenient package we call the Fruits of the World 4-Pack. And remember, it's 50% off by the case. Give us a call at 888-442-1828 or go online at bioinnovations.net. Your Health is brought to you by BioInnovations, trusted products for your health and well-being.
We're back, everyone. Just a quick reminder, it's holiday savings celebration at BioInnovations. I don't want you to miss that one, so call that one today and get in on it. So, Richard, I know time is short. This has really been a great hour. Tell us how we can supplement best with Boswellia.
Well, just take some. It's really very simple. Just take some, get started on it, and give it a little time. Let it go to work and let it calm this inflammation down. What can you expect while you're taking Boswellia? There is a chance that there may be mild intestinal upset with very large doses. The patients in the cerebral edema study were taking 4,200 milligrams, which is about 10 capsules of what Cindy has for you. You can take that much. You don't have to have cerebral edema. If you have rheumatoid arthritis, you may want to take a very high dose. But I would suggest take it with food and plenty of water. Then you're not going to have, the vast majority of us will have no trouble with that. I really want to emphasize that side effects are exceedingly rare with this very special agent. Allergy is possible. It is a plant agent. We can react to plants. But I looked through the worldwide scientific literature. I did not see any case reports of toxic reactions or allergy. Now, it's possible that could happen, the allergy. There is a question of safety in children, pregnant and lactating mothers. It's been undetermined. They've not done any studies to see if the wise men were making a mistake by giving the gift to the Christ child, this frankincense. I think they were smart enough to know that it was safe. But that is my faith. I have to make a distinction. We don't have studies on that, so it's up to you to make that judgment. But I personally wouldn't hesitate. If a child needs a little of the essential oil on the bottom of the feet, go right ahead. That baby's going to be fine. I think so. There is some question in the scientific writing about theoretical interaction with our drug metabolism systems, the cytochrome P450. However, there have been no case reports of that, and recently an in-depth study was conducted to find out if Boswellia does interact, and they found it took doses 15 to 20 times greater than what we've told you to take for that to even happen to anybody. So there are no case reports of that. We have no evidence that it interacts with any of our medicines. Dosage, 450 milligram capsule, 3 times a day. That's 1,350 milligrams a day. Studied up to 4,200 milligrams a day. You can take more, you can take less. Find the dose that helps you. But do that. Get the relief you need. It's okay to do that. Now, Cindy, you have done such a wonderful thing with these essential oils, and one of your big hitters is the Boswellia-based essential oils.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Well, honey, you know, frankincense, which I had to bring it on the set with me, even though it's a tiny, tiny little bottle, but there's something about when you just inhale it.
Can I have some?
Oh, I mean, just put a little bit of that under your nose. It's just amazing. This is the frankincense Serrata that we talked about today. So as far as the benefits go, everything that Richard taught you today is applicable to this precious little bottle. But what's really great about this, honey, I don't say this instead of, I say this in addition to the Boswellia supplement. But when you take just a little bit of this and add it to your plan, you can just simply inhale it from the bottle, use it in a diffuser, maybe put a drop on the bottom of your feet. The effects are amazing. It's everything that you talked about today. However, this works on the hypothalamus section of the brain.
Yes.
Which that's how it gets into the emotional aspect and helps what Richard was talking about, the calming, the not sedating as such, but it's just the centering.
Coming back
calming.
To planet Earth.
Exactly. Well, I mean,
down.
it just helps everything seem better. That's why no matter, it seems that whatever oil I'm going to diffuse, I'm going to add a drop of that to it. Yeah. It's just, you'll see, and it does have an effect on the heart, an opening of the heart. That is why the gifts, that's what we just, this time of year, it's the gifts blend.
Gifts. I love that stuff. That is so nice.
What's so special about this? This is the frankincense Serrata that we talked about today, and it's the frankincense Carteri. That is so special. That was the incense frankincense. It also is strong in boswellic acid, so it has the same benefits as this over here too, but a little bit more of the spiritual element.
Well put. Very well done. Thank you for your kind attention, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing, because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-935-4051. Golfers, the future of golf is here. The coolest driver on the planet, Tech-Ham. World's longest driver has done it again. The Hammer Turbo Air. It's all speed. Go to hammerturbo.com now, putting the science of speed into golf. Boom.
This is important news for women who used hair straightening chemicals and later developed life-threatening cancers. New studies by the National Institutes of Health found women who used chemical hair straighteners were twice as likely to develop uterine cancer, ovarian cancer, endometrial cancer, or uterine fibroids, requiring removal or a hysterectomy. If you or a loved one used a chemical hair straightener and then were diagnosed with uterine cancer, ovarian cancer, endometrial cancer, uterine fibroids requiring surgery, or if your loved one died, call the attorneys at Davis & Crump now to see if you're eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Again,